to this segment of Succession 2013. My name is Noah Otieno, and this is the political talk show where the men and women who want to take over the government of Kenya under the new constitution from the 4th of March in 2013 get to talk to you and get to be interviewed by you and myself on their policies, their track record, and why they think they are fit to govern this country. Today, we are talking about the governorship of Busia County. And with me on the set today in Succession 2013 are 4 gentlemen who feel that they are fit to be the first governor of Busia County. To my immediate right is Member of Parliament for Amagoro constituency, Sospita Ojamo. Next is Mr. Engineer Vincent Sidai, who wants to be governor of Busia County, followed by Mr. Kizito Wangalwa, who also feels that he has what it takes to govern that populous county called Busia. And next to Mr. Kizito Wangalwa is Philemon Imo, a man who believes that he's done enough in terms of philanthropy in Busia County to be chosen by the people of Busia County to be the first governor. Do they have what it takes to govern Busia County? Do they have what it takes to run a budget of over 3 billion shillings? And what are their track records? Remember, you, the viewer, is part of the interviewing panel for the job position is governor for Busia County. Send in your questions, your comments, your criticisms to any of these men or to myself on KTN Kenya at KTN Kenya, on Facebook, facebook.com/KTN Kenya, or on our SMS line 8040, that is 8040. The number is 8040. If you have a question, a comment, a criticism for any of these gentlemen who want to be governor for Busia County, please do not hesitate to join me in this job interview. Straight away, Honorable Ojamo, please introduce yourself to the Kenyan voters, the Kenyan taxpayers, and specifically to the people of Busia County.
Okay. I'm the Honorable Sospita Ojamo. I've been a member of parliament for Amagoro for the last 10 years, the Orange Democratic. First I was in the National Rainbow Coalition and then the Orange Democratic Party. I did my schooling in Teso, in Busia County, and proceeded to Kenyatta University where I took a Bachelor of Education degree. And after teaching for some time, I joined politics. It was in 1992. I joined the other formed forces, whereby we struggled so hard to remove the dictatorial system that we used to have, till when we succeeded in 2002, when I became a member of parliament for Amagoro. So briefly, I think that's what I am, and I'm currently eyeing the Busia governor seat on an ODM ticket.
Engineer Sidai, introduce yourself to the taxpayers whose money you'll be managing and whose money will be paying you if you become governor for Busia County.
Thank you. Now, my name is Engineer Vincent Sidai. I'm an engineer by profession. I took my education, I started from Tesolan in primary school, then went to Eastern Province, Karabatula High School. From there I went to Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, where I did my degree in civil engineering. I started working as an engineer in a consulting company, or Consult International. Then I left there, I went to GIB Africa. Then I went to Howard Humphreys, eventually to Bamburi, where I'm exiting now to go and gun for governorship of Busia County. I have the highest qualification in the world in concrete technology. I've also done management development program from Strathmore University, and I have all what it takes to be the governor of Busia County. Thank you.
Mr. Kizito Wangalwa, introduce yourself to the people of Busia County and to the Kenyan taxpayers.
Thank you, Noah. My name is Kizito Wangalwa. I am an economic development consultant, and I also went, just like my colleagues have said, my basic education primary in Busia County, specifically in a primary school called Buhaladre Primary School. And later on, went up to university, did a degree in economics, and finally did my master's in business administration. So in terms of my work experience, I have had a 22-year working experience, initially as an economist in the public service in Kenya, thereafter as an advisor on local governance issues in an international development organization where we did capacity building for institutions that deliver and or are responsible for enabling access to basic services. And I left that to manage the National Taxpayers Association, which has been a body that has been monitoring or is monitoring the utilization of devolved funds. I'm sure you are aware about the CDF reports, the scorecards that are given to members of parliament. I'm sure Mheshimiwa Jamong knows what we have done.
And on this show, I think we'll get an opportunity
Yes.
for you to vet Mr. Jamong.
Sure.
Okay, next,
We did vet.
Mr. Philemon Imo, introduce yourself to the Kenyan taxpayer and to the voter in Busia County.
Thank you very much, Noah. I am Philemon Imo, from Busia County, of course. I went to school there in Busia, in Teso, and later on went to Lenana School for my high school, and eventually graduated from the University of Nairobi with an honors degree in chemistry and biochemistry. I immediately moved into the corporate sector, where I was working with one of the biggest multinationals that you have in the world, Unilever, to very senior positions. I worked in Unilever in Kenya, I worked in Unilever in Malawi, I worked in Unilever in Nigeria, and eventually exited the company in 2006 after 17 years of working in different areas of management. I worked in R&D, I worked in supply chain management, all right? And as I said, handled different kind of situations. I left Unilever and went into consulting, which I do at the moment under the auspices of Quest Laboratories. We are working with advising people when you want to invest. We look at the supply and the manufacturing side of what your interests would be. And apart from that, I run a company called Home Direct Kenya Limited, where we have a team of 17 people working with us at the moment. Yeah, so I think we have what it takes for us to go and handle the money of the people of Busia County.
Now, the people of Busia County have woken up very early today, and they've already joined me on this job interview.
Yes.
There's a lady here called Atiang Mary.
Yes.
She says, Honorable Jamong, how come there is no tarmac road in your 10 years as Member of Parliament? But this will come to later. I just wanted to let you know that it is not alone who's interviewing you for this job. These are the people who will vote for you. Their friends, their children, their husbands, their brothers are watching you today, and they're watching how you respond to these questions. Now, let me start from one thing that has occurred to me when you're introducing yourselves. The Western Kenya region has no shortage of people with papers. On this podium alone, there are 4 degrees. There are 3 consultants and 1 politician, but everybody is highly learned. Where is the missing link? Because even in Busia County alone, the people I spoke to last night and this morning, I told them, I'm going to have you on the set. They told me, ask them, why is it that with all that powerful learning, with all those papers, with all that potential and talent, Busia County is not as rich as it should be? There are problems in the sugar sector, problems in the health sector. Where is the missing link? I'll start with you, Mr. Philemon Imo. In your opinion, where is the missing link? Is it that people got learned and fled from Busia County? What happened?
Yeah, really, I think that the biggest missing link has been that we haven't had the leadership in Busia County that could harness the resources that we have there, that could harness the leadership, that could harness the knowledge that we have in the county. Because if you really look, if you want professors, you get the top minds from, I mean, in the country coming from Busia. If you want managers, you will find that we've got some very serious managers coming from Busia County. So what has been missing for me is the leadership that could bring these people together. I think there's been a lot more selfishness among the people who have been there to lead, that if now, fortunately, with the structures that the new constitution has brought in, we put the right person in that job of governor. That person is going to have the mandate, as I would say, to call all the top brains together and say, okay, fine, this is Busia. With all the natural resources, with the fortune of geography, we are at the border, the only major exit point from this country. You put the right person in this position of governor, then you're going to be able to mobilize the people to deliver the results that are required for the county. That's how I look at it.
Mr. Kizito, where, in your opinion, is the problem? Why is it that all this learning is not helping? Okay, to be fair, it's been separate constituencies previously, but now it's going to be Busia County. Why is it that all these papers are not reflecting on the ground?
One, we have been together before these splits came in. We were once a Busia district until 1994. And therefore, we have no excuse for having not taken advantage of the entire region of Busia County to come together. And just following up on what Philemon has said, which I agree with, the basis is that many of us have papers, but they are individuals' papers. And everybody goes to contribute to society as an individual. So harnessing the collective minds and energies of Busia people has lacked. The ability to organize the community is lacking. We have, for example, hardly any cooperative in Busia. The only things we have there are small welfare organizations, merry-go-rounds of ladies and youths. Even football teams are hardly in place. So for me, community organization, the ability to bring people together and chart a common way forward has totally been lacking. And we must assign this, as said before, to the apex of the leadership within each geographical area has lacked in terms of bringing people together.
Engineer Sidai, how do we plug that missing link?
My approach would be that first and foremost, we should now, from the past experience that we have gone through, we should now be able to learn our lessons from there, that we have had political leadership all these years, which has not been able to bring in professionals together and be able to move and even plan some succession, encourage people to come into leadership. But you find that the politicians who have been there and the leadership who has been there like to work with sycophants. They want to work with people who have not even gone to school because they are their henchmen, yeah? Walking around with them, and when they see you,
I hope the Honorable Jamong has
he may
that
be a victim. I believe he's listening, and if I'm cheating, actually, you will correct me. But the question here is very simple: is that if you don't work with me as a professional to be able to advise you as a politician or to share ideas on what we can do, then for sure that these professionals will be kept aside. You are professional, you are coming to help this society in whichever way you can. The politician feels scared that this man is coming for my seat. What does he do? If you're working in the government, he hammers your head to bring you down, you know? So you find that the professionals now shy off from this thing. And that is why we are now coming to fill that gap, that we have the confidence to come and face the current leadership and say, we are taking over from you, and we are going to do this thing the right way. And you'll be able to see it as we move ahead.
Honorable Jamong, how many professionals have you brought down? That's the accusation leveled on you by
I've not even brought down any professional, not even a single one. Even those who campaigned against me aggressively, I've always encouraged them to advance. But just to mention to argue on what you've just said about the missing link, it's because of lack of leadership. These people, once you have gotten a degree or even reached a high level of education, you are a leader in your own right. You are able to mobilize other professionals. And the first case we have the BUPA, the Busia Professional Association. this has been an organization which has been there, but it cannot tell you even if it has paid bursaries for 3 kids. These are very big minds. So these people in themselves, they are so confused. They don't see forward. They don't see sideways. I don't know. They look. So you'll find that, how do you blame a politician? Because we say, once you have an independent entity like the BUPA, Busia Professional Associations, you discharge your duties, your functions, objectives, independently. How does a politician come in? If it is the issue of doing might be boreholes in a village, the BUPA case, we have engineers like Engineer Sidai here, who are qualified. If they should be able to go and advise in the village, this is how a borehole is done. That doesn't need a politician. If it's doing a road, just go to the technical team in the constituency and tell them, this is how roads are supposed to be done. He doesn't need a politician. So he does not bring leadership there. These people, the professionals, are leaders on their own right. So they've just carried their cross and say they have failed, let us start afresh.
There was also another issue, which I think the viewers who picked on it and might confront you with it later on, that Busia County suffers the problem of sycophancy. Are you a sycophant, as he says? Is it that the politicians from there are comfortable following rather than leading?
Yes, you know, like in politics, you should have your fans, just like football. These are people, you are disciples, just the way Jesus had his disciples. These are people who follow wherever you go. But the professionals don't want to mix with these people. They fear, because these people have also ideas. You'll find that you look at some of the Nairobi people or the Eldoret, when they go home. When you go in the morning, you find a chicken has been thrown there. If he flees from home, he will not come back for the next 30 years. So if you are scared about the happenings in your society, basically like those. So the sycophants are there because they believe in you. They believe you will deliver on their behalf. But we are now saying that let us have the sycophants also, but let's have the professionals also discharging their duties. Because what usually happens, I remember last year, Honorable Diambo, the member of Butla, called these people from Butla for working in Nairobi. I think it was in Railways Club or somewhere. But what ended, he was humiliated. Nothing was discussed useful to the people of Butla. Instead, these guys came and started humiliating him, I don't know, ABC, instead of giving me a way forward. So even if you talk, I actually mix with the members of parliament, they say how people do not think ahead. Most people avoid the professionals and go and engage with the public at home because you have to solve the immediate problems that people face, instead of engaging people who have degrees but are not willing to move along with the rest of the people.
I'm sure the so-called professionals have noted the very heavy challenge you've dropped on them. Is the Busia Professionals Association a sleeping giant? Let's start with you. Are you all sleeping on the job?
Thank you. I just want to pick up something Mheshimiwa said. I think Mheshimiwa has gotten it wrong by saying that as professionals, we should be able to go and tell people this is how a borehole is done or how a road is done. That's not the right way. Every project has a technical team in that project. So the best thing is that you have a consultant guiding the contractor in what to do, not professionals waking up in the morning and go and start telling a contractor or telling villagers this is what you're supposed to do. That is wrong in the construction industry. You can't do that. Okay? There are certain parties. There's a client, there's a consultant, there is a contractor doing this work. There's a team doing
So what is the role of BUPA?
BUPA is an association for professionals in Busia County. They are coming in together and trying to see how can we work together, get some ideas to be able to help our people down there. But unfortunately, I'm telling you, and I repeat it again, that me as a professional, I know the main challenge that we will get is getting the political support, the goodwill of the leadership, as much as you have ideas, however big your ideas are. And the leadership of the day does not buy your ideas. My brother, you're going nowhere.
Bwana Kizito,
yes.
This race is reminds me of a debate that has been going on. The reality of devolution and the coming positions of governors and their deputies and their executive committees. Do you feel that those who are crossing over from the corporate world, like yourselves, are going to provide better leadership at the county level than the politicians, so to speak, those who have been in politics all along? As Engineer Sidai said, the professionals are seeking to oust the political class who've become sycophants and slept on the job. Do you feel you from the corporate world can do a better job, and why?
First, I must say that devolution in itself will not provide results. It is a leadership that will be there in the devolved entities that will make things different. Professionals may not just come and take over, because this is a political office, and we cannot say that we'll come and take over from those who are there. I'm sure many of them were also professionals in their own light. Mheshimiwa Jamong was a teacher for about 1.5 years, and then he left, so I'm sure he was a professional at that time. But he left into politics, and the practices that he has been able to develop over the last 20 years no longer align with the good corporate governance systems. Therefore, for me, it will have to be a mix between politics and professionalism. Politics, for me, being a mechanism through which you are able to engage with the society and equitably utilize the resources that are available for the benefit of the people. Not the politics of, for example, hoodwinking people that there are nominations going on and there are no nominations, or rigging of, rigging in the political parties and all that. So we'll have to have a mix of serious management practices and managing politics. Now, to come directly to your question and what Mheshimiwa did say, we cannot blame the professionals. There is an apex body. If you go to any company and the CEO is asleep, you will not expect the other professionals to be active. That person, the MP currently has a duty of mobilizing the community, organizing the community, setting an agenda for that community, inviting the participation of everybody else, young, old, professionals, and the sycophants is talking about, bring them on board. So anybody who claims that you can do away with professionals and use your sycophants to create an agenda, that is not the person that we are looking for in Busia and not in Kenya to manage the office. What we are looking for is a person who is able to appreciate that we have a diversity of people, young and old, men and women, the disabled and the able-bodied, who have to be brought together, organized for the benefit of that county. And that is what we need for the position of governor.
Philemon, the debate is that those like you from the consultancy world, from the corporate world, after your 17 years in the corporate world, why do you feel that it is time to cross from the corporate world into the quasi-political? Because, like he says, it's going to be management and politics mixed together. What is it that you're bringing to the table that the politician in Honorable Jamong cannot do well for the county of Busia?
I think the first bit is just to step back a little, okay, and say that politics as such is not bad, okay, and our politicians have a big role. Really, politics is what moves us from where we are to that desired good place. The problem that we have is that politics has been played in a very simplistic way, okay? We need to have people coming out of our youth system, our education system, and desiring to be politicians. But we have to emphasize, as I said, that the way the politics has been done is so simplistic that people look at a politician and think that a politician is a bad person. And yet, really, these are people who actually sacrifice their lives to go and do these things. So, for a little moment, I would want to say that to my good friend, Mheshimiwa Jamong, that look, politics as such, being a politician is not a bad thing. It is good. You're doing it for the sake of the people. All right. But the new construct that we are making, the new devolved government system, requires certain competencies, requires certain built-up skills, And those competences take investment. If you find that there is somebody who has become a chief executive in a company, and you go and check how much has been spent to elevate him from that raw graduate to the level where he's now at the top of the company, there's a lot of stuff. And unfortunately, the people who are in our politics at the moment, the people who are coming out of being MPs of a certain amount of time, have not really had that executive management role. They would have, they probably can create the vision. But you are talking about real money here being spent. You need to have touched it. You need to have handled it. I fear that is where the people would call our politicians don't have those skills. And even though their desire is there, we are at risk of losing certain amount of time as they go through a learning curve. In that learning curve, 3.7 billion of the first year will have gone, 3.7 billion of the second year has gone. And then we are working in a situation where we have got 47 competing counties with competing interests. If we lose 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, we will forever be in a catch-up situation. We don't want that. That's why we're saying, for these earlier stages, let us take our politicians where the politics is, okay? Let them be our MPs, let them be our senators. But when it comes to governance at the governorship level, I don't think that we should take that kind of risk. We should take people who have done this and they know how to do it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we are going to interrogate the competencies, as you say, of each one of you, yes. And how fit you are, in your own opinions, to govern Busia County as the first governor. You remember, the people of Busia are with me in this interview, and there's a gentleman called Ajaku Daniel who is talking to you on Twitter, and he says, my challenge to especially Sospita Ojamong, my MP, is can he answer this question that the people of Busia County are being divided through what he's calling selective development. That to divide people into north and south, then you develop one side and you leave the other. We are coming back to interrogate that. There are also there are also people talking to you on SMS. This is Benpa, also SMSing from Busia County. Oh, interesting. Benpa thinks that Engineer Sidai is the best bet, but that's Benpa's opinion.
Thank you.
Somebody else thinks that Kizito Wangalwa is the man for governor in Busia County. This is Flo in Busia. There are many more people here, and we're coming to now get the questions from these people, and also to interrogate each one of you on your individual competencies. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going into a short commercial break. Remember, this is Succession 2013. Today we are talking about Busia governorship, and you are with me on this job interview for the position of governor for Busia County. You can participate through SMS on the number 8040, that is 8040. You can also join us on Twitter at KTN Kenya, also on Facebook, facebook.com/KTN Kenya. Please don't go away. Stay with us on Succession 2013. Welcome back to Succession 2013. Remember, today we are talking about the governorship for Busia County. And on set with me on Succession 2013 this morning are four gentlemen who wish to be the first governor for Busia County. With me today is Member of Parliament for Amagoro constituency and the Assistant Minister for Labour, Sospita Ojamong. Next to him is Engineer Vincent Sidai, and next to Mr. Sidai is Kizito Wangalwa. And next to Kizito is Philemon Imo. All of them say they have what it takes. And this segment of the show, I want you to interrogate these gentlemen directly. The question that was asked just before you concluded in the last segment was, is there selective development? I want to give that question to the Member of Parliament for Amagoro, because this gentleman, Ajak, was very specific about Amagoro constituency, that somebody came up with the idea of creating south and north just to institute what he calls selective development. Is this a reality?
That's the imagination which exists in some people's minds. We don't have what we call selective development from the time I joined. What do I know? The resources we have been getting are quite inadequate. The point that you cannot if for the first time we got the CDF was 6 million shillings, and you know every area location could not get it. It couldn't get it. Then we moved around 20 million. Definitely the area is vast, very vast. You need a lot of money. So you'll find that when you place a project, you select one project and put it in one area. Definitely the rest will be up in arms, that we have been left out. That's not the case. If people want everything to be done the same day, the same way, which is not possible. But what people, they have an imagination that have marginalized one area, which is not the case. I've actually tried my level best. But if you looked at Teso, Amagoro, for instance, you'll find that there are areas which fall under Busia municipality. That area should be developed by the municipal funds. If you will go to Amagoro, if you went to Malaba, there are areas which fall under Malaba Town Council. Those people have enough resources. But if you go into the county areas, which fall under Teso County, those ones have very minimal resources. So you'll find that those people in Malaba, for instance, if you started a secondary school in an area where there's a county, where they don't have resources, they will say, why have you taken 2 million there and given us 200? But the 200 you have given them just to supplement what they get from LATIF, the collections they get from the town. So it's just a little the civic education to some of those people who think they're selective. But also the DDCs, which approve some of these projects, are managed by most of them civil servants, which are qualified. And they have been trained not to marginalize any area. The DDOs, the accountants, and all the DCs have to ensure that there is proper application of the funds and should be in all corners of the. So, you know, that's the imagination that some areas are marginalized is just, it exists in very few people's minds.
You mentioned something that actually took me straight to a comment here by a gentleman called George Obendo. Obendo says that Mr. Kizito Wangalwa, you are once a DDO. I assume this is a district development officer?
Yes.
Please answer his question. What is the position? What could you have done in your position as DDO to make the people feel like they're equal in development, so to speak?
One, the development space has changed, has shifted tremendously. When I was DDO, there was no CDF. But what I would do differently is, one, that development has to have the participation of the people, has to have a consensus among the people. And therefore, when people know that this time we are not receiving money because we have less money, they have participated in the decision that we are going to put this project at point A, and point B will have to be postponed because we have either little resources, which we cannot be able to inject there. Alternatively, we can use a different framework of looking for resources for that area. So we have confined CDF to the machinations of a small clique of people. I have done this because I was also, after I left the public service, I was the national coordinator for National Taxpayers Association. And I know the practices that I used to assign CDF resources in different areas. And I can assure you, DDOs are almost rendered irrelevant right now in terms of where these projects are going to be put. The CDF committee, under the patronage of members of parliament, virtually decide where to put money and where not to put money. So ultimately, the buck stops with the member of parliament.
And we'll come back to the member of parliament in the team later. Engineer, there is a question here touching on what we are talking about. This is from Mukabana in Nambale. Mukabana says, I wish to encourage the four gentlemen, but how will they solve this notion of poverty in Busia County if elected? In line with industries, in line with education, in line with the health sector. What do you think is the opportunity that the governor is going to have to solve these problems in Busia County?
The governor is going to be the CEO of Busia County. If the people of Busia County today elect a person with the integrity, the person with what it takes, the person with the interest of the people at heart, they will surely be able to get what they want. For example, building a road in Busia or anywhere in this country requires some sort of political pushing from some source. If I am the governor of Busia County, that is where you start from, to sort out the infrastructure. People of Busia County are suffering. And if you go to the entire Busia County, I will tell you for sure, Mheshimiwa, I hope you will not say that I'm attacking you here. If you look at the Magoro side, is where it's seriously affected. There's no tarmac road. Zero tarmac road, apart from the 104A that comes from Bungoma going all the way to Uganda. That's the only tarmac road that exists. Medical, the health facilities, very poor, completely. The current system that is there, that we have been trying to do some clinics, building some structures to help people as dispensaries. But unfortunately, they have never seen the light of the day because of the kind of allocation that is being given to these facilities and the registration that follows with the ministry to be able to get the supplies come in agriculture. That is where, if I am the one, that I will put more energy in, because there's a lot. Busia County is very rich agriculturally because we have good weather and good soils. And people of Busia County are hard-working people. If you take cotton, for example, cotton is a quick maturing crop. And what you only need to do is get proper, good investors to come and invest in those gineries which have actually collapsed today. We used to have quite a number of them in Busia County. We used to have one in Ambale, in Port Victoria, in Budalang, I mean, in Amukura, Malakisi, Amurai, so many of them around. Something that we can harness very quickly. We have this problem that we are facing today of sugar. Sugar now has become what every politician is playing politics with. You go to bed with somebody, get something there, and then come here and make noise on this other side. You need to get a guy who will be able to say, my morals don't allow me to do this. I have to work for my people. You have even cassava. You have a lot of maize. You have everything. You have fruits. In fact, I was in Funyula and I was shocked. The amount of mangoes which are there. And now what happens? That they're all falling down and being eaten by animals, and people are just throwing them away. Yet, actually, if you put a small facility to process these fruits, these young men will get employed. They'll be able to go and get the fruits, buy them from the farmers, bring them there, make the juice. So look at the fish industry, for example. There's a lot that we can get from Busia County. What we only need is good political leadership. And that is where the governor comes in. And that's why we are saying, and I agree with my brother Philemon here, that for politicians this time round in the governorship, please leave it. Let the professionals now come and run, because we have to run Busia County as a company. I'm a CEO, and my shareholders are the people of Busia County, and they need to get their dividends at the end of the year. What have we gotten? You have run this company. What is it there for us? Can you give us, announce the results? What are we getting here? And there is a lot, the potential in Busia County. Even the professionals that we have just talked about here, by themselves, they're able to bring in a lot of employment in Busia County. So long as there's somebody there to bring them together and encourage them to do something for the betterment of the people. Just allow me to just go back slightly on what we talked about, allocation of CDF funds and what the DDOs are doing. You will realize that, for example, I am a board chairman of a secondary school, which is within Malaba Town Council, that is supposed to receive money from Latif and the rest. But we have actually gotten a lot of allocations from CDF coming to this school. Reason? To impress the people of that area so that they don't vote for their chairman. Because it's allocated on political interest. Because let me take the money to this St. Mark Machaku Secondary School so that people see that and bring the money here. And a deserving school somewhere in the village is suffering. This is not fair. So let us be fair and say that the way Kizito is saying, the buck stops with the member of parliament who is able to allocate the funds and see which is the most needy, which is the most deserving school or institution, and be able to help. And
I think it's only fair. Now the politician in this group is taking a lot of flack. It's only fair to give him an opportunity. Before you come to Mr. Philemon, I know the chance is yours, but we just give him a few minutes, 2 minutes, to deal with the issues before we forget them, because the voters might walk away feeling that he's the sinner in the company. Tell us, there are 3 issues they have raised. The matter of the CDF allocation, that the Member of Parliament uses CDF as a weapon rather than as a tool of development. He's made another serious allegation that the politician has taken the problems of the sugar industry lightly, or is shying away from solving the problems in the sugar industry because there are people somewhere who are benefiting and protecting the politician. And the matter of road, but we'll deal with that. The two issues, CDF and the sugar industry. Can you zero in on these two and tell us what the problem is?
You know, let's not focus so much on the CDF. One, the allocation is too little. It's CDF around 2.5% of the whole government budget. LATIF takes 5%. So we should be concentrating on the 97.5%, which remains in the central government. But you find our Kenyans have been misled to believe that the 2.5% or the few millions that the Kenyans, the MPs get through CDF is the only money for development. We are the architects of the CDF. CDF was actually meant to sort out minor issues, whereby if a member of parliament goes to a village, you find maybe a bridge has been washed, you can buy a few poles, just to assist Wananchi to cross temporarily. As the government, the main ministry comes in. If you went to a school and found a roof has been blown off, could put in iron sheets as the main ministry comes in. That was the main reason behind CDF. But now the central government has thrown all development issues, bursaries to CDF. Let's remove this notion that CDF is everything. But on saying that you apportion might be areas that favor you, or if you give areas that favor you projects so that you can be voted or somebody is rejected. That's not the case, because
like his school where is
what actually happens, you know, they don't know the operation of this. It might be that they don't know how the CDF Act operates. We have the locational committees. These people meet, they propose projects, and they prioritize them from 1, 2 to 3. Thereafter, these projects are handed over to the Constituent Development Committee, which also picks the priority ones, but distributing them across the whole constituency. And the DDO plays a very big role, because the CDF falls under the Ministry of Planning. It falls under the Ministry of Planning. And in the Act, it's stated very clearly, the money that's given to a constituency should be distributed. That's one of the criteria. And that's why the DDO is there, to ensure that money is distributed equally across the constituency. So the DDO plays a very important role and reports back to the minister and the board, the CDF board in Nairobi. So in case of anything, in this anomaly, that one area has been left out or favored, she has to report, and then it is rejected. And then it is returned back for you to make corrective action. So the DDO plays a very important role. So my friend here, he had no secondary school in his area. And I had to ensure that I had to start one. That's why we have to move very fast. And it's a deserving area. It's an area where very few people have gone to school. So we wanted to bring it up. That's why we have to place a school there. He's the only engineer there. And I need more engineers from that area. And then the other issue was about the
sugar industry.
The sugar industry, indeed.
And the politicians' hand in that sector.
Indeed.
What is it? What is going on?
You know what has affected the sugar industry is the laws that we have, which we are now trying to overhaul in Parliament. The laws favor the investor more than the local people. Like if you went to, people have been exploited. You'll find that a sugar farmer in Teso has no right even to follow sugar from the farm to the factory in Mumias. It's just loaded, and then you wait for the tons that will be brought. You don't even have somebody to inspect there that he has been weighed. And so many, you are given fertilizer at an exorbitant price, you don't question, and all those things. But also the politicians. You'll find that the Mumia Sugar Factory, if you look at the people who own it, they're very, very big people, not from Western Kenya. Very big, the powers to be in Kenya. People you cannot shake. They are just using Mumias as a conduit. You think they are manufacturing, they import sugar and come and repackage it through Mumias and all those ill things. So, like the MPs from Western, their hands were tied. If the law says you cannot start another factory around there, what do? You have to change the laws here. We've tried, but all the time, like last time before we went on recess, a bill had been brought, but again it was shelved. Now I see it's coming again under a very combined very funny manner. So you'll find that unless we overhaul these laws in Parliament, we should find that the people who control the sugar industry also manipulate the political class, not to overhaul these laws. But we hope this time we shall achieve, and we shall have so many sugar factories. Like now in my area, there is the West Kenya, which is coming to my village to start just a weighbridge. And the farmers are happy. But if you have been reading the court cases between Mumias and West Kenya, Mumias does not want West Kenya to come up. They don't want any investor to come in the first place. So if the politicians are also playing a role, some of them have had, but me, I have not had a role. I would also wish that we have industries there, and we are working towards that.
Mheshimiwa, to be fair to you, I know the impression this morning has been that everybody else is anti-Ojamo. I want to give you some hope. There are people here who say, like there's Judy Onam, who says Ojamong is the best candidate. He has done a great job for the people of Amagoro. Keep up the good job. There's another one who says Ojamong has changed Teso development-wise. What has Engineer Sidai and Philemon Imo ever done for Teso people with their professionalism? This is Ali Dahir. But there's something you've raised. Somebody wants Engineer Sidai to withdraw the word sycophant. Anyway, we'll come to that.
But there is something I wanted to clarify.
I'll give you that opportunity. Yeah. There's something that you raised that I think is very critical and that Kenyans would actually beat me for if I don't interrogate it. That there are elephants behind Mumia's sugar, political elephants, and they are making it difficult for other sugar factories to come up and operate. They're also making it difficult for the politicians in Busia County to deal with the problems in the sugar industry. I know the members of parliament from Western Kenya are some of the most vocal in parliament. When they speak, people listen. I've never heard them speak about this particular problem. What is the fear? Have you been threatened? Have you been stopped? Or have they been compromised? What really is the position?
No, we have raised these issues several times in the floor of parliament. In fact, even the previous MPs, where Wangalwa comes from, Professor Mango, took that like a baby. In fact, every time she could be carrying a file about the sugar industry, about all those things. We've raised them with the powers to be, but it's very difficult. The last time I remember when the MPs decided to demonstrate, I think again is something about the sugar Mumias. You remember Honorable Washali, up to now, he's a lame guy, courtesy of that, because the whole police force, APs from Western Kenya, was mobilized to work on them. Diambo had to flee in another direction, all people were fleeing, farmers were beaten. MPs, if you went to Honorable Washali now, you'll find that his hand is lame now, courtesy of that. We have very strong forces. The PCs had been bought, everything, so there's very little. And even being compromised, I hear some MPs are also compromised. But me, I have not been compromised so far. But me, I hear they even fund campaigns. Some of people might be even these governors, but I hope you don't take that money, that's blood. But yes, we always come and find you to perpetuate their interests. So, but what I'm saying now, we want to overhaul the Sugar Act now, which we are working hard. We hope if it goes through, things will be okay.
Mr. Philemon, finally, I'm sorry for keeping you this long, waiting for your opportunity, but what is your understanding of the problem in the sugar sector? Do you buy the argument by the MP that the hands of the politicians are tied in dealing with this? And if you ever get to be governor, how would you deal with the sugar problems in Busia County?
All right. Surprisingly, I will agree with Honorable Jamong that there are big issues behind the problems at Mumias, in the sugar industry generally. I am, personal experience here, I am secretary of Busia County Forum. When the issue blew up, there's land called Nasewa. There was a big piece of land which was bought for the purpose of putting up Busia Sugar Factory. And it came out sometime last year that there was an attempt to transfer that land to private individuals. And the members of Busia County Forum said, look, this is one of the things we are set up to do, to intervene. And I know that I was personally mandated to write to all the government departments, including the Anti-Corruption Commission, to say to them that as the people of Busia, we will not and we will do whatever it takes to fight to make sure that it doesn't happen, that the transfer doesn't take place. Now, the issue is not yet settled. It is in court. But the sentiment, as you can see from the questions our people are raising, are very strong that we've got to sort out sugar. The only place I will differ with Mheshimiwa is the fact that these politicians, when they want to do something, they'll do it. They can come together and get pay increases. Why can't they come together and say, okay, we're going to fix the Sugar Act? Because the truth is that without the legal structures being in place, whatever noise you will make, you'll just make noise, but you will not make any progress. So in reality, if there was desire, if they really cared for the people down there, then they would get to mobilize Parliament effectively and get that law reviewed. Now, to go back to if I got to be governor, I think the issue and the question was raised a little earlier. How do you sort out the issues of poverty? I'd say this, that the biggest thing for me is that we need to provide a leadership that will bring a unity of purpose for the people. Then eventually, how do you deal with poverty? You've got to provide solutions that are sustainable, and the sustainability will come when you have manufacturing in place. For me, I would look at the issues there from a pyramid perspective. At the top of it will be manufacturing. But if you're going to have manufacturing, if you're going to have industries, then you have got to have the environment correct. And that means that the infrastructure has to be there. It means that those roads have to be fixed. It means that you have to have water being available everywhere. It means that electricity needs to be available all the time. Right now in Busia, power comes for 3 hours, it goes. There is no factory that you will run when power is on and off, on and off. Now, if you have got to sort that, then there are social issues. You've got to have people who are not spending their time thinking about, am I going to have food all the time? We're saying that Busia is a very rich place. And yet, I can assure you, there's a very big vicious cycle in Busia. People can actually end up with a good yield. But because of the poverty levels, they sell half of that food off the farm. Now, what we need to do is have an interventionist move from the government. We're going to put a lot of money into improving the yields out of the farms. If you improve the yields out of the farms, people are not going to be bothered with the basics. Then it means there's a little bit more money that they can put into education. There's a little bit more, I mean, when people are well fed, health issues are not as many as they would be. So before you go talking about we should build a lot of clinics, let's first of all make sure that this person is just well fed, this person is healthy. So I would say therefore this is a pyramid kind of approach that says industries, yes, we need them, but I think they would come at a later stage. At the beginning, let's focus on making sure that the yields triple, double, because it's not magic. You're having 6 bags of maize coming out of the farm today. If we have a proper intervention in which we are cooperating with the private sector, we would end up with fertilizers and other inputs. And from 6 bags, we could go to 15. And even 15 is not magic, because people yield as much as 40 bags of maize. And therefore, you would say that, I mean, my economist colleague here will probably find that this is a weird number, but you could end up with nearly 100% growth. Economics, what we talk about is between 5 and maybe 12. By the time you reach 15% growth, that economy is overheating. But in this particular case for Busia, I'm assuring you that if we intervene in agriculture, there will be a radical change in the life of the people there. Then after that, the rest of the things will follow naturally. It will not be like we are not aware that we need industry. But what is industry if a guy is hungry? Yeah, that's how I would look at it.
All right. There's a gentleman here called Bahati Evans from Busia County who thinks that Philemon Imo is a very organized man. They should get a chance to govern Busia County. But that is his opinion. Mm-hmm. There's a lady here who's asking Kizito. She wants to know whether you've registered as a voter. Number one. Number two, she wants to know, now that Philemon and Engineer Sidai and the MP have spoken at length about the sugar industry. She wants to know your plan for the sugar industry, the sugar sector, just that, because she believes that with that, the people of Busia County won't have to be poor.
One, I am yet to register as a voter. The voter registration exercise started. I haven't been home. I want to go and register in my polling station back home. So on Saturday, I will be at home registering as a voter. Now, the sugar industry is one of the many industries that you can be able to utilize. If it is not working for us, it doesn't mean that we must have it. The current yields that we get from the sugarcane industry and the transportation from the farms to Mumias Sugar Company don't make the farmer the ultimate beneficiary of utilizing their land. So what we need is to create alternatives. Mumias and the sugar farms must give us an incentive to have our land being used, because that land is private land. And using that land to provide a raw material for that industry, we must have an incentive. If there is no incentive, as the county governor, for me, I will create an alternative to use that land. Why sugar industry is popular is because it is credit farming. You provide credit to till the land, you provide credit in terms of fertilizer, you provide credit in terms of seed, you provide credit in terms of harvesting. Basically everything is credit farming. So if we can be able to introduce credit farming for beans, for example, or for millet, for maize, why sugarcane? So for me, we will create an alternative that is more competitive to utilize that land. You put sugarcane there, you wait for 2 years for one harvest. You put in the 2 years, you put beans there, you'll have 4 harvests. And I'm sure the yields will be much, much higher than if you did sugarcane. So we will create a credit scheme that is able to make the farmers access the necessary credit that they have been getting from the sugarcane industry. That for me is the solution. So if there is no incentive from the sugar factories, we will utilize our land more productively by creating an alternative for the farmers.
Now, I'm told that the amount of time we have is just enough for each one of you to have 2 minutes each. I'd like us to use these 2 minutes each to speak a bit of politics. Each one of you, please, starting with the MP. What political party are you going to use as a vehicle to your governorship, and what will you do to ensure that this time Kenya has a different kind of politics campaigning than we saw in 2007?
Okay, my political party to all people is Orange Democratic Movement, and my presidential candidate is the Honorable Raila Odinga. It's a man I've worked with, I understand very well, for over 20 years. And I know we've been fighting, people like us. These people want to manage resources that we have been fighting for a very long time. You'll find that I've been in politics, a jobless guy, even though I was a graduate, to do activism for over 12 years, just fighting to remove Kanu because of its dictatorial tendencies. And it's not because Kenya doesn't have money. Kenya has money, but the systems we have are too colonial to exploit the common man. And it's the systems that we still want to break up to now. Even that's why when we devolve the government, we go back to the devolved government. We know exactly where the problem has been. It's not that districts have not been getting money. They get money, but it's either corruptly used or it is returned back to the treasury. So that's the only problem we have. And I know with the experience I've had working in the government, I know all loopholes, I know how to correct them, and my party, ODM, which believes in devolution, all along for a very long time, it believes in devolution. I know with a person of my caliber in our county, the Busia people never regret in their life.
Thank you
Just the
very
way only the Tesos are not regretting.
Engineer Sidai, Engineer Sidai, what is your political party or political vehicle, and how will you ensure that now Kenya has different politics than we saw in 07?
I'm on UDF party. My presidential candidate is Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. My take is that we have seen the kind of politics that have existed there. We have seen parties come in, parties go out. I was born during Kanu era, and I saw Kanu being Baba na Mama. And that brings me to the question where you say there's one of our voters who says I should remove the word sycophancy. And I think I need to explain this, that it is wrong, almost immoral for us just to follow a party simply because you like somebody who is in that party. Maybe because of his charisma, or because of who he is, or whatever way he comes from or something. But it is good for Kenyans now to start looking at issues that affect us. Let us go back to the issues-based politics rather than party-based politics, because a party is a vehicle. It's like a church. Who said that people who are in Catholic or PCA or Anglican will not go to heaven? You will not go to heaven. What matters is, how clean are you? Are you a committed guy? Are you a faithful? Are you a believer? If I go to school and I went to Garibatula High School, or Jamon went to St. Paul's and Wangalu and others, does it mean that we could not go to the university? We all sat for the same exam, you pass and you go to the university. When you are told you need to have gone to Form 4, they don't say which Form 4 did you go to. What I'm saying is that let us get ourselves out of this. And we are saying, this is my political party, participate in making the manifesto of the party, that this is the manifesto we are going to have. Us as governors, we should be able to draw our own development agenda. What are you going to do to people in different sectors? What is the action plan? Then go and tell people, this is it, and this is my party where I belong. Not really coming and just stamping just for the sake of the party, and you want to get that euphoria of the party to sneak through. That now I can go through because my guy is popular or something like that.
Okay,
that will not help us.
Kizito, what is your party, and how are you going to ensure that your politics is a different politics that takes Kenya forward, that takes Busia County forward?
I am vying for this seat on the ODM party. I've already made my application to ODM. I'm confident that the vetting process that ODM will go through, I'll be found suitable to vie for that ticket. And I must say that all through the last 2 years, I have been engaging with the people of Busia and engaging with them on the issues that we need to resolve as a county. Basically engaging them to realize that we need to have a kind of basic needs revolution, where we are focusing on access to food, better infrastructure, education for our children, the unity of Busia County. Those are the things that we want to promote, both at our local level in Busia and nationally. All of us here, at one point, were in ODM. Engineer Sidai, Philemon Imo, Ojamong, and myself are in ODM. And these two gentlemen ran away from ODM, not because ODM was a bad party, but because they were being harassed by those who claim to be owners of that party, and therefore they had to exclude others.
So you're part of the harassing team?
No, they know who harassed them. They know who.
You stay.
But I am staying on because I believe in my economic development practice, I have focused on local governance, and therefore I am a believer in the true spirit of devolution. I am a consultant. I consult a lot in issues of devolution. I have been helping the counties in South Sudan to basically create the necessary human resource capacity to manage those counties. And therefore, for me, I believe in devolution, and ODM believes in devolution. I will stick with ODM and win in ODM.
Okay, and I wish you the best in that. Philemon, you ran away from ODM. Who was harassing you? And where did you run to? Where did you run to?
No, I didn't run away. I just made a choice that the right party for me is Ford Kenya. You know that in the true sense, if KANU is the oldest party, in the new dispensation that started in 1992. The real party that drove change in this country is Ford Kenya. Ford Kenya is a party that believes in social democracy. Ford Kenya, therefore, is a party that I am very happy to align with, and I'm very happy to work with our presidential candidate, Honorable Wetangula. The things that we discussed earlier about how we're going to get the people of Busia County going forward are issues that this party is all about. You're going to invest, and you're going to invest in the people first. After investing on the people, the rest of the things will come along. Now, how are we going to do politics in a different way? I think it's really about the leadership that you put in there. If you have a leader who falls into the temptation of dividing people, whether it's on tribal basis or on clan basis or on whatever the basis, then you're going to end up with politics being the same as it is. Again, I fall back on the new constitution. The new constitution is creating an environment in which the politics should automatically be different, because you are required, for instance, to make sure that you take care of all the sections of the society, whether it is about gender, whether it's about disability. Nobody's going to be left behind. Now, that is as written. We need to make sure that we've got leaders in place who will ensure that this constitution is being abided by. We've already seen evidence in this country where we're saying, look, the people must be vetted, but you end up with people wanting to do things in the old ways. Okay? So when you have those kind of situations, then you create doubt, and then people don't believe it again. But if we have signed into this new constitution and we implement at the county level the way the constitution requires it, then you will end up with everybody feeling like they're getting their fair share.
All right.
Yeah.
I wish you the best, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your Monday segment of Succession 2013, in which we were talking about the race for the governorship of Busia County. On set with me, I've had the Member of Parliament for Amagoro constituency, who is also the Assistant Minister for Labour, Honorable Sospita Ojamong. I've had Engineer Vincent Sidai. I've had Mr. Kizito Wangalwa. I've also had Mr. Philemon Imo, who all say they feel they have what it takes to govern Busia County. Whether they'll make it or not depends on you, the voter. And thank you for joining me on this job interview. Please see you next Monday for another segment of Succession 2013. If you have questions for these gentlemen, you can still keep sending them in, and we will forward your questions to them. Thank you, and keep viewing your other programs on KTN. Good morning, and have a beautiful day.